Did I do that? Yes, I did do that. Doesn't even matter what like the thing I did was, but I did in fact do something. I got a haircut. Nah, for real though. We back with Family Matters. Even more so than Twilight Zone, I feel like I seriously got to apologize for this one taking so long because it's not even like it was really anyone's fault except mine. I procrastinated this video to hell and back, and I seriously apologize for that. I I've just been like really tired and stuff, and it makes me like not want to do make videos, especially since my shorts have been doing so much better than these videos, and it kind of like it lowered my interest in even doing stuff like this. But I still want these reviews to be a part of the channel, even if they are no longer the primary thing I'm doing. Because I still love TV and I still want to keep watching shows. And again, these reviews pretty much give me an excuse to watch stuff I've never seen. Great example being Family Matters. I was surprised with how much I enjoyed season one. I thought by the end of season one I could call this a good show. So I guess the question now is season two gonna like is season two gonna be like the same deal, or like is it gonna be what's season two up to, bro? I was very much curious to see how the show would continue past season one, but now I'm gonna figure that out, gang. 25 episodes. Hopefully, I get this done in a reasonable amount of time, but this is me we're talking about, so it's probably gonna be long for no reason. But let's do this. 1. Rachel's place. Rachel tries to find a job to pull her weight around the house. Meanwhile, Laura and Steve Urkel work at a place called Leroy's. Hold on, gotta do something real quick. This is a good episode. I was checking if my door is fully closed, by the way, but I thought this would be funny if I just randomly came in here and ran, just to say this is a good episode. But yeah, we start things off on a good note. Admittedly, kind of weird. The episode's called Rachel's Place, when that's meant to be like the ending twist that Rachel buys the place Leroy's because it got burnt. So like, kind of weird they just spoiled the ending there. But yeah, this is a good episode. I I mean, I pretty much said this a lot during season one, but Urkel continues to be the highlight. Seeing him just mess up was really fun. I Although it is definitely weird to see his actions actually have like serious consequences for once, considering he burned the restaurant down. But no, it just he gets off scot free pretty much. I mean, he does help Rachel, I guess, start Rachel's place, but other than that, it's like, damn, bro. Yeah, this is still a good episode though, and a very solid start to the second season. 2. Torn between two lovers. Steve Urkel thinks Rachel's in love with him, when really she's in love with her loan manager, who's also named Steve. I don't have many thoughts on this episode. It's a 4 out of 5 as well. I'll be honest, this is a very tropey episode. Like, we've seen this type of a misunderstanding plot before, where like someone misunderstands something that like another character's saying and makes it out to be bigger than it is. But I think it's the fact that it's Urkel who's going through this is funny, because I simply find Urkel to be a really funny character. I don't really even have that much to say about this one, honestly. I apologize for this review of this specific episode being so short. I don't, again, not much has changed between season one and now, between me not really being in the fandom. So I'm not sure if this is like a highly loved episode that I'm giving like a bad name, but I do like this episode. I think it's funny. In terms of being specific examples, there are Carl playing with Richie was funny. I thought that was good. You also have Urkel. This ending scene with Urkel like getting ready to go on this thing with Urkel trying to see like, oh, I'm sorry, Rachel, but I'm in love with Laura, and Rachel's being totally chill with it because obviously she's an adult and she ain't no Diddy bro. Well, she ain't gonna be doing all that. So there are definitely good jokes here. I just wouldn't say this episode was anything special. 3. Marriage 101. Urkel and Laura are put Urkel and Laura are put in a class assignment where they're married for 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Harriet wishes Carl was more romantic. Ooh. We finally did it. After a whole season of no 5 out of 5s, we have an episode I consider truly great. This one is a 5 out of 5. And I do consider this to be the first great Family Matters episode. Both plots are extremely well made and very good. I'll start with the Carl plot first, since that one's like the B plot, so it's much easier to talk about it real quick. I thought it was really good. It definitely does show off how like stagnant a married couple can be over time. Because obviously Carl, it's like Harriet really wants to do this thing, but like Carl isn't feeling it. Like, but Carl's not like a bad guy or anything. He's not doing this on purpose. He is genuinely like it just become a routine for him. Like he doesn't feel the need to overly do all this stuff, but wants to do it for Harriet, and it's really sweet. The Urkel plot, though, is the main plot of the episode, and it's as good as always. I'm honestly shocked they got us to actually sympathize this hard for Urkel, considering, like, he's kind of a creep. Like, don't get me wrong, Urkel's still an extremely funny character, but I'm not going to act like he's the most likable kid around. Urkel's kind of weird because it's so obvious everyone hates him, so you kind of feel bad for him, but then he does, like, a creepy stuff, especially around Laura, and is in general kind of a nuisance. So you also kind of understand why Bro doesn't really have any friends or anything. But this episode still handles everything extremely well. Off the top of my head, the scenes with Urkel in the classroom and that poor teacher, she had to deal with Urkel. I remember that being really funny. Definitely a great episode, and definitely the first episode. Like, obviously, I liked a lot of season one, and I've been liking the episode so far, but this one I especially recommend you check out. It is very well made. 4. Flash Pants. Carl and Harriet compete in a dance contest, but problems arise when Carl throws his back out. 4 out of 5. Another episode that's perfectly competent in everything it does, but doesn't really do much to really go beyond. Doesn't really do anything special. I don't even have much to say about this one, really. I thought Carl, like, trying to dance still despite the problems was funny enough. And we also got, especially how he has a rival with this other couple. I thought that was all perfectly good. But other than that, not much to say about this episode. I watched it and I liked it, but it doesn't stand out as anything especially good. Other than Urkel having a weird love for Polka, I don't know what that's all about. Urkel's kind of a weirdo. Oh my god, the Google Doc just refreshed. I have to scroll all the way back. God damn it. 5. Crash Course. Eddie drives despite not having his license, so he ends up crashing into the house, but Urkel takes the blame. 4 out of 5. Really good episode. I don't even have much to say about this episode other than it's really, really, really funny. One of the funniest so far. Again, I did watch this episode like a month ago, so it's not like all the jokes are gonna be extremely fresh in my head. But off the top of my head, Eddie crashing into the house is really good. The scene where Carl, like towards the beginning of the episode, when Carl takes like a practice drive of Eddie, that was really good. Everything here was just really, really funny, and it just adds all to an episode I just really enjoy watching. And it also shows that Urkel isn't too bad because he's kind enough to willingly do this for Eddie, since pretty much both Eddie and Carl, Urkel has this relationship where like he wants to be their best friend despite him being Urkel. So again, which is part of like you feeling bad for him, even though he definitely has his problems as a person. Really good episode though. Would definitely recommend it if you want just something funny. 6. Boxcar Blues. Carl tries to convince Eddie to be a cop, but Urkel goes instead. I don't have a lot to say about this episode. It's another good one, 4 out of 5. Man, is this rate are these ratings getting repetitive? Yeah, and that one I have much to say on. I thought Carl and Urkel being trapped in the train dragged on for a little too long, but I still really liked it, especially the scene where Urkel said he wished Carl was his dad. Like, damn, I didn't expect to end. This is family marriage. I didn't expect for things to get this deep. No, but this is a good episode though, and it has a nice lesson too about how you don't need to follow in your parents' footsteps. I mean, I'm 17 and I barely even know what my parents do for a living. But I know I'm gonna be making cartoons and just living the high life, but being better, being the original, not even using AI or any BS like that, just being the OG. 7. Dog Day Halloween. Urkel and Laura get held hostage at the bank, and on Halloween no less. It's almost like Halloween is in the name of the episode. 4 out of 5. Another really good episode. Just a lot of really funny jokes in this one. Urkel being Superman was not something I ever thought I needed to see as like a costume, but like it's there. It's very good. Just another really good episode. A lot of funny jokes in this one. I love the scene where Urkel like has his fantasy where he thinks he's going to be taking the guy out, but turns out not. When Urkel's kind of a dweeb, we don't support that. So he of course has to be a fantasy. Damn, still pretty good episode nonetheless. A cousin Urkel. Steve Urkel goes away for 2 weeks, but his cousin Myrtle Urkel visits for 2 weeks. Another 4 out of 5. I don't have much to say on it. It's a very weird concept, but then again, the Urkels are a very strange family. Just a fun role reversal episode. Laura and Eddie fighting the whole episode, so then they're kind of using the Urkels pretty much as a way to get back at one another. Since this new Urkel, the cousin Urkel, has a crush on Eddie, so Laura can finally get. So Eddie has to feel the payback of an Urkel being in love with him. Except it's also still kind of creepy because Eddie's just so much older than her. It's like, yeesh, Eddie, you're in a tough spot, my guy. But yeah, perfectly good episode. I'm sorry I don't have much to say on some of these episodes, but they really are just perfectly funny without being anything special. That's kind of what I'm thinking of the whole season so far. Honestly, there's not much to it. I really have that much to talk about. Again, doesn't help that I've been watching these. This video took me so long, and I've been watching the season for honestly, way too long. But hey, don't hate the play, hate the game. 9. Dedicated to the one I love. A new neighbor named Loretta takes a liking to Carl. Meanwhile, Urkel finds a girlfriend named Susie. Okay, here's one I actually do have a couple of thoughts on. Okay, so the only reason I'm giving this one a 4 is because I do really like the Carl plot. Well, I shouldn't say really like, but I enjoyed the Carl plot line in this episode. Thought it was good. Thought it was solid. I liked it perfectly well enough. Yeah, I totally get Harriet's position where on one hand it's like yeah, like your partner is allowed to enjoy someone of the opposite gender or just anyone else in general if you're like a gay or some if you're like in a gay relationship or something, but like at the same time though I kind of see her getting jealous because it's like, bro, your mom, bro, you already got claimed. What you doing with this Loretta? Especially since, I mean, they make it a little obvious that Loretta is very much down for Carl because he can't fix anything for Crud. That's like one of his reoccurring character traits, but I liked it. The Urkel plot, on the other hand, which might sound weird because I'm such an Urkel lover. Not in a gay way though, I'm straight. But I don't know. It was a little. I think it really could have been better. I like the idea of Urkel having a girlfriend and Laura even being like jealous because she's so used to Urkel obsessing over her. I just don't like the ending where Urkel's like Urkel's all like I pretended to be in love with her to be with you, Laura. Dude, that's so creepy. It's one of the rare times I think they kind of take Urkel's creepiness like too far, and I start to genuinely not like the guy. Not to say the Urkel plot doesn't have its good moments because it does, but I don't know. I still like this one, but I was also kind of debating giving it a three. I think if it was only the Urkel plot, I probably would have given this one a lower rating, but me liking the Carl stuff as much as I did means that even though the Urkel plot isn't my favorite, I do still think I think there's enough here for me to still call this a good 4 out of 5. So yeah, I do like this episode, even with its faults. But hey, at least it's probably one of the more interesting episodes I've talked about so far. Compared to a lot of these other ones, I can kind of just say I liked it without needing much more else to say. On to the next episode. 10 Science Project. Laura gets Urkel to work on a science project with her, only for her to dream about it all going wrong. Man, do I really like this one. This is a 4 out of 5. This one is so strange. I think the fact that most of it's a dream, they telegraph this to you though. It's not that stupid, oh, this is all a dream. I actually think them letting us know that this is a dream fairly on in the episode actually works because it means that the writers allow themselves to make it still kind of the same reality, which is just casual Chicago life, but they're allowed to make everything slightly more heightened to a weirder degree, and it makes everything way funnier. Like how the family casually sings a song and doesn't even care that like they're all gonna die. It's really funny. Such a strange episode, but I mean that in a good way. I really like this one. Definitely watch this episode if you want like something strange, and you want to see just how far a sitcom can go in terms of pushing like a weird, like reality breaking episode. Well, not really that because it's a dream, but you know what I mean. 11. Requiem for an Urkel. Urkel gets into a boxing match with a bully named Willie. Meanwhile, Estelle starts dating. Okay, so I'm gonna be real. If I didn't put the Estelle part there, I probably wouldn't have remembered that since it's solid enough, I guess. And I do understand where Carl comes from being jealous about it, but the episode doesn't really give that plot much time, so we don't. It's all right. The Urkel plot though is good. 4 out of 5. Man, I wonder if this season's gonna be giving me any more 4 out of 5s. That's what a lot of these have been. I do like this one though, genuinely. Urkel just trying to fight, I think, is a funny enough concept, and it's handled well enough. Also, we gotta talk about was Waldo his name? Willie's like side. Willie's just this generic bully character, but like his sidekick Waldo, genuinely is high key one of the funniest characters. What are we gonna do, Willie? Oh, I mean, sure said that, Willie. Oh, I mean, Willie, what are we gonna do? Well, this guy made me laugh every time he talked, and thankfully, spoiler alert, Willie and Waldo do show up in a few more episodes this season, which I'm very much glad they do because Waldo is such a funny character. So I'm glad that they stick around. But yeah, solid enough episode. 12. Fast Eddie window. Eddie plays pool and bets, which turns out to be a huge mistake. Not much to say. 4 out of 5. It's a perfectly good enough. It teaches a good moral lesson about how obviously you shouldn't be betting like that because it's dangerous. And I do like how Carl and Estelle eventually come together and like save. They save Eddie and Urkel at the end, so that's nice. Perfectly good episode. I enjoyed this one well enough. 13. Have yourself a Merry Winslow Christmas. It's Christmas time for the family that matters. Oh my god. Yeah, I wrote that. I'm so clever, guys. This truly is the family that matters over all families. For real though, I like this one solidly enough. It's a 4 out of 5. Ooh, 4 out of 5. Okay, so I'm confident I've said this a couple of times on this channel already, but I'm typically not the type of guy who loves Christmas episodes that much. Not because they're bad or anything, but because I think it is the fact that every show has a Christmas episode that makes it feel less special. Like I don't need every character in every piece of media to do the Christmas episode. I know it's the biggest holiday, so obviously it's gonna have the most stuff to it, but after a while it gets kind of annoying, and you really can only do Christmas stuff so much before it's like, what can you even do with that? Which is why I'm happy to say that this episode was still able to be good despite this. I found Carl trying to like get the toy that Richie wanted to be funny, and overall, it was just it was good. It was a good episode, and I like Urkel genuinely having the actually being like it with the family when like they celebrate Christmas, proving that even though Urkel's like the next door neighbor and all that, he at this point he pretty much is a part of the family. And let's face it, at this point he's so popular that he's such a popular character that they're just gonna keep shoving him in there, even though he's not even really a family member, which is crazy work. Hell, the thumbnail for this video is mostly Urkel. That's crazy work. So yeah, I like this episode despite me not being the biggest Christmas guy around. Not in terms of the holiday, I mean like Christmas related episodes. 14, Ice Station Winslow. Winslow's like the family's last name, by the way. So if you're like, what the hell's a Winslow? That's what that means. Eddie tries to have a bonding trip with Eddie, even with an uninvited Urkel. Don't much to say, honestly. This is a perfectly solid episode, a Carl and Eddie bonding episode. Eddie just wants to hang out with his friends, but Carl genuinely wants to spend time with him. And the ending where Carl tells Eddie like why he's been feeling like this is definitely very well done. It really makes you sympathize for Carl, while also, but as a teenager myself, I do understand not wanting to hang out with your parents and wanting to do your own stuff. But instead of having friends, I make crappy videos on the internet and make terrible drawings I post as YouTube shorts. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. That's what old Z-Man's up to in this place that he calls his channel. What's the point of this? It's a good episode. That's the damn point of it. 15, Son. Carl and Eddie have a fight over where the screwdriver is. Oh my god, this episode sounds so stupid. It's a 5 out of 5. Remember when we had a rating for an episode that wasn't just a 4? Because I don't. Genuinely though, this is easily the best episode so far. For an episode title as basic and boring as Son, and and when I describe the plot, it doesn't sound good, but man, this episode really breaks down like a fight so well. I think I wouldn't say I've been in a ton of fights, but I feel like everyone's been in this type of situation, especially even with a parent, and it can get super frustrating. I This episode I think helps show why these characters matter, as cringe as that can sound. Because yeah, this really is like, on one hand, Eddie obvious as again, I'm more closer to Eddie's age, so I totally get how he like genuinely just misplaced it. But at the same time, like, it is still Carl's stuff, so you totally get why he'd be pissed over it, and it really works. The economy really works here. But then it gets to the point of Eddie trying to leave home, and then Carl like kind of just allows it, and you feel really really bad. Because it's just a series of misunderstandings, and just if Carl and Eddie simply talked about it, they really could have made it all better. In the flashback scene with Eddie like being given birth by Harriet giving birth to Eddie, I mean, really well done. I wish Carl wasn't such a wuss in the flashback, but that's my only problem with the whole episode. Genuinely very well done. I really love this one. Definitely best episode so far. Go check it out. And okay, so I know for a fact most people watching this won't be on the stream, But for the whole stream, I've been seeing a casual one show up every now and then in the people section and then go away. I'm not sure if it's different people every time, but it's like, bro, watch the video or don't. By the way, we're like almost two-thirds, not really two-thirds, but like I only have 10 episodes left. So if you're like, man, this dude's boring the crap out of me, then I'm only watching this because I don't know, I owe this guy money or something, then don't worry. We don't have much longer left. 16. Do the right thing. Eddie wants to sell off a diamond ring, while Urkel gets jealous of Laura's crush, Todd. Wait. Is it Eddie? I think I accidentally wrote Eddie when it should have been Carl. I don't even know anymore. It's a good episode. This one reminds me a lot of the season 1 episode Straight A's, but while that episode is mediocre and boring, this episode manages to be good, which I think shows just how much of the writing's improved between season 1 and season 2. Says someone who still likes season 1, by the way. Don't take this as season 1 hate. Just a funny episode. A lot of this episode is dedicated to like Carl and then later Urkel's like a angel and devil sides fighting each other. And that's a very dude. Family Matters has been getting weirder and weirder with this season. Season 1 was way more of a traditional. See, it's one. There's someone on stream. Hi, one. Can you stay? Can you stay and watch the stream? Are you the same one that's been showing up every now and then? Are you? Please watch my video. Please watch my video. What? No, you're gone. Okay, Z-Man doesn't deserve a viewer. Oh my god. Do you just want to hear me say my thoughts on these episodes? You don't care about any of this. So. Moral of the story, it's a good episode, and you should in fact do the right thing, which is the question I feel like the episode title is asking us. Good episode. 17. High hopes. That sounded really echoey for no reason. Carl has to get over his fear of heights. Meanwhile, Rachel and Harriet fight over a new car. Okay, so this is a 4 out of 5. Another good, solid episode I don't have much to say on. Carl plot's good. Harriet and Rachel plot I honestly couldn't care less about. This episode's the introduction of Carl's boss, who alongside Willie and Waldo is another character that shows up for a few more episodes past this one. And I'm happy he does, because this boy, I like this guy. He's really, really weird, but I mean that in a funny way. I mean, Carl's a cop, so eventually we work, and since he just works at a place in general, I feel like we do eventually have to see his boss, even though, Harriet works, we haven't seen her boss, so, like, what's up with that? Oh, hi, one, are you gonna watch stream? Yeah, you gonna stay on the stream? 2! Oh, there's 2 people watching this thing now. Oh, lucky me. I'm talking about Family Matters. Episode 17, High Hopes. I thought it was a good enough episode. I found Carl's boss in it funny. Carl tries to overcome his height problem. That's the plot of this little episode. Oh, the zero. Oh, you both left. Good episode, though. Go watch this one. 18. Life of the party. Willie gets Urkel drunk at a party. This is the don't do booze episode. It also, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, this is also the same episode that does the Urkel dance. The Urkel dance, which is it's so 90s. Like, if you need more proof that this is like a show made around the late 80s, early 90s, then you know why this episode. The whole don't drink message, which yeah, I agree with, but like you didn't need to say it in this way. Mixed with the fact that Urkel, they have a whole Steve Urkel dance, which gives it massive do the Bartman energy. This is coming from a guy who literally has Simpsons as his favorite show of all time. Even have a yellow shirt. It's not of Simpsons, it's of a different adult animated comedy, but it's still a yellow shirt. Whole episode is good. I actually do really like this episode. I think that bizarre energy makes me enjoy the episode more and makes it more memorable in my mind, which is why I honestly prefer when Family Matters isn't as much of a traditional sitcom. This is a pretty good episode. I honestly do really recommend it. We also get more of Waldo, who continues to be a funny character. Bro casually has so many drinks on him. Why does he have that? 19. Busted. Eddie takes Urkel gambling. Meanwhile, Carl accidentally ruins Harriet's aunt's ashes. Okay, so I was worried this was going to be like. Okay, so at first this episode seemed like a mix between the Crash Course episode and also the episode, the pool episode where Eddie bets while playing pool. At first, this kind of seemed like a mix between them, but no, it turned into its own thing, and I mean that in a good way because this is a really. Why did I say that? What else would it be than a good way? Whatever. This is a good episode. I love when Carl realized that he accidentally threw the ashes into the trash can. He's like, "What? Oh, I need a moment alone with her." And it's like, bro, you don't gotta be doing all that. Just also gotta love the ending where Carl scolds Eddie for gambling, and then Harriet immediately after scolds Carl for doing those things to the ashes in the exact same way that Carl did to Eddie. But Carl and Harriet bang at the end, so that makes his punishment way better. Still, overall, good episode. 20. Fight the good fight. Laura starts a petition to get a Black History class. Okay. So when I finished watching this episode, I was like, okay, how the hell am I going to talk about this? I am a white, pale, straight man. He, him pronouns. How am I going to be talking about this episode? All I'm going to say is that it's a 5 out of 5. My favorite episode so far, and I think this thing is genuinely a masterpiece. But I can't really talk about much about it because I'm not this episode wasn't made for me. This episode was made for like African Americans who like really want more representation because that's what Laura wants in the episode. She wants a Black History class, but then some stupid racists like tried to challenge her on it. You really feel for Laura here, and Estelle giving Laura the advice about like how Black history and all that, and her library story about how she just wanted to go to the library, but because she was Black, like she wasn't allowed to. Well, you really feel for her, and you really feel for the whole plight going on in the episode. But it's still a funny as hell episode. Urkel casually speaking Chinese to the principal is funny as hell. So the episode is a beautiful blend between still having that classic really funny Family Matters jokes, so while still being a very emotional episode where you really care about what's going on. This episode's amazing, and I genuinely it's a 10 out of 10 episode, but using my easier rating system, honestly, it's a 5 out of 5 episode. Check this one out. Even if you're not in the target demographic like me, I still very much recommend you watch this one because it's still a masterpiece. 21. Taking credit. Rachel tells Richie and Judy about examples of taking credit. Okay, so this one's kind of weird because it's two completely different stories side by side, but like it's Rachel still telling like the kids about it, which is kind of weird. Basically, we have a story about Urkel doing Eddie's English class for him, or pretty much doing his assignments for him, and then we have Carl and his boss during the hideout, which I think the Carl and boss plot was easily the superior of the two plot lines going on. I think Carl's boss we already saw him in the High Hopes episode, but he returns here and he's even more funny in this one. Like him, bro legit changed his name to lieutenant just because that's his rank because that's his rank in the police station. That's funny as fuck to me. I really love that. Hashtag unnecessary swearing, but it is extremely funny. The Urkel plot's still solid, but not anything to really write home about. This is a perfectly good episode. Something I have noticed though is that this is definitely a show where they try to teach you moral lessons and all that, but other than again that Straight A's episode back in season 1, they've been really doing a good job of making the episodes still funny while trying to teach you moral lessons like don't gamble, you shouldn't be gambling, shouldn't be don't get drunk. You should take sometimes you take credit for your work and sometimes you give it to someone else. And we even figure out how to do the Urkel. Oh, did I do that? I'm doing the Urkel. Yeah. I'm starting to understand why that person keeps coming in and leaving stream. Bro's waiting until the stream finally gets good, but it's just a shit stream, so. 22. Finding the words. Carl meets someone he doesn't remember. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this episode purposefully vague because I genuinely love. This is a 5 out of 5. Another truly great one, and I love the hell out of this episode. But I genuinely am not gonna say much about it purely for the fact that I just want you to go out and watch the episode. Don't even have much else to say, honestly. Again, I'm keeping it vague. I do apologize. But if anything, that should encourage you to watch the episode because I feel like if I say anything about it, it'll spoil it. And I feel like this is an episode best watched blind. Go watch it. Another serious episode that's very well done and very well made. I love this episode. 23. Skipped my Lou. Rachel goes on a date with Carl's boss, Lou. That's his name, by the way, Lou. Meanwhile, Urkel tries to get a bracelet for Laura. You ever watch an episode that's perfectly competent but doesn't really do anything above or beyond? That's this episode. It's a 4 out of 5. Lou and Urkel having a duet together where they both sing was the most memorable part of this episode. Other than that, I mean, Lou has a couple funny moments like always. Urkel has some funny moments like always, but this one simply doesn't stick out as anything that good or anything I'd rewatch that hard, but it's still funny. I still like the episode, but like a lot of season 2, well, it's good but fails to really leave much of an impression beyond. That was funny. I tee-heed and ha-ha'd. I don't know, but I do like this episode though. 24. The Good, the Bad, and the Urkel. Which to me is a perfect demonstration because Urkel is not a creature good or bad. You do not question the morals of the Urkman. Moving on to the story, though, Carl fights with Steve Urkel's dad. Urkel has parents, by the way. We just never see them. And has a dream where he and Steve Urkel fight in Western times. This one's really good. This is pretty much a better version of the already really good Science Project episode. That episode was just a heightened version of the usual Family Matters routine. But this episode, I think, is more. This one, you could tell better that it's a dream because they're all westerny. But I really like it, though. It's another 4 out of 5. At this point, the rating doesn't even matter because you know it's a 4 episode, but it's a really good episode. Seeing all the characters in Western times is genuinely really funny, and it's very enjoyable just to see it. Steve Urkel as a cowboy was never something I thought I needed, but now I have it, and I'm really happy I do because it's really, really funny. A bizarre episode, but in the best way possible. Definitely check this one out. And finally, ending things off, 25. I should have done something. Carl's upset about something that happened last year. Pretty much, Carl was in a hostage situation. Carl had to stop a hostage situation, but the robber ended up shooting one of the hostages, and Carl's very much upset about that. Meanwhile, Urkel gets tickets to the concert Laura wants to go to. Dude, this one's weird. I like it. 4 out of 5. Makes perfect sense we end the season on a 4 out of 5 episode because this is such a 4 out of 5 season. But man, this episode is so weird. Where to even start with this thing? Like the Carl plot, it's all serious because it's about him like being upset he let someone die. But then the Urkel plot is, oh man, I want to bone Laura. But then Estelle pretty much tells him to let Laura take the tickets, which is actually a really funny joke because then Laura thinks Urkel's just going to trick her. So she just wants to go with Urkel just then so that way she doesn't owe him. It's really good. But again, I think having these two plots together doesn't really work too well. I honestly think the episode would have been better if like either the Carl plot is paired up with a more serious plot and then the Urkel plot is paired up with a more joke plot. But no, We have the two plots together, and it makes it kind of weird. Still a good episode because I still like both plots individually. Carl at the cemetery is genuinely a very beautiful scene. I love it, but I think these would have been better if they were separate episodes or even had different plot lines attached to them. Okay. All 25 season 2 episodes are here, and I'm not going to bother really talking about the ratings. Pretty much there were 4 or 5 out of 5s, but literally 21 episodes, 21 were 4 out of 5s. So yeah, I know it's strange. I'm going to talk about it. Don't worry. For now, let's just get on to me saying the names of all these episodes. Starting off at number 25, we have Dedicated to the One I Love, Do the Right Thing, Torn Between Two Lovers, Skip to My Lou, High Hopes, I Should Have Done Something, Requiem for an Urkel, Cousin Urkel, Have Yourself a Merry Winslow Christmas, Flash Pants, Boxcar Blues, Rachel's Place, Taking Credit, Life of the Party, Fast Eddie Window. Then for the top 10, we got Ice Station Winslow, Busted, Science Project, The Good, the Bad, and the Urkel, Dog Day, Halloween, Crash Course. And then for the 4 or 5 out of 5s, we have Marriage 101, Finding the Words, Sun, and Fight the Good Fight. To me, was the very obvious standout best episode of the season and of the show so far. So this season's really freaking weird. I liked every single episode. The fact that nothing went below a 4 was shocking to me. Whole season I was waiting for an episode that would be a 3 or lower, but that never happened. But then again, a lot of these episodes are good, but I can't say they're anything special. Honestly, for a lot of the 4 out of 5s, I think you could really change the rankings in any way you want, and I honestly wouldn't really be that upset about it. And I'm not usually upset with people's opinions in general, but you know what I mean. They're very interchangeable, which is why I've come to the conclusion that Family Matters season 2 is a really good season. Obviously better than season 1. It feels like the show's a mix between very earnest but still having a lot of weirdness to it, and that's a balance I very much enjoy. But I really do hope that with sort of season 3, it's more consistently 5 out of 5s. Maybe we've seen, I don't know though. Season 1 was good, but towards the end showed signs of being really good. And now with season 2, it's a really good season, but towards the end shows signs of being great. So I very much hope that by season 3, we can get just maybe the start of the true Family Matters golden age, perhaps. I feel bad because, again, this was a perfect, we're no episode. I like every single episode in this season, but like, come on. A lot of these are good, but they're not anything truly special to me. So while it's very consistent, I still not gonna act like this is like some great masterpiece season. But if you're like me and watched season 1 and was like, hey, this thing's good, then definitely check out season 2 because it's a very good continuation. With that, I'm Z-Man, and uh-oh, thing happened. Did I do that? I already said that at the beginning of the damn video, but it's been over 40 minutes, so do you even remember? Do you remember me saying that?